Why are people like this? In the modern world, people have become robots and drones attached to their phones. While I know this isn't the case for everybody, you can't be alive right now without at least admitting that things are not exactly what they used to be. While phones may have some benefits to them, I have found in my life that they've taken more away from me than they give me, especially if I let that be the case. So with that in mind, as well as some other inspiration from other productivity and self-development YouTubers, I was inspired to quit social media for 30 days. The rules for this challenge were that I were not to allow myself to access social media outside of changing the URL in my Instagram bio when a video were to be posted, so I can, actually be like, all right, this link in my bio is the right video. But outside of that, I did not have the opportunity to go into different social media apps and, waste my time. This meant that I had to delete all the different social media apps on my phone, like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and other ones as well. The positives, I found myself having a lot more time. I know it's probably pretty cliche, and that's something you'd expect out of this challenge, but I had a lot more time during it. Before this challenge, and before I got a specific social media posting app, which I will mention later, I found myself waking up even at 5 a.m. and scrolling through Instagram for 30 to 45 minutes with absolutely no reason. So once I got Later.com, which is a social media poster, something that you can schedule out your different photos on, it really helped me make this transition happen. I was able to uninstall things like Instagram, actually a little bit before this challenge, and LinkedIn and Facebook and all those different applications. I was able to just uninstall those apps because there's no point, for me at least, if I didn't have a reason to post on there. And if I was able to just schedule it on Later, then I had no excuse to justify anymore. Okay, let's go on Instagram and try to keep up with this posting, as well as, the scrolling that occurs due to that. I think between deleting all of these different apps, there's 5 to 15 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes across each of these apps individually that maybe I had scrolled through beforehand. I know for a fact that Instagram was the main culprit of that. I would at least be on there 30 minutes a day, maybe more. And I don't think I got any benefit out of it. And in this challenge, I really did realize something about myself that I was surprised I'd find out, especially about the intentionality of the content that I consume. Two of the main excuses I gave myself for having Instagram installed on my phone before this were because I needed to post and because it was how I kept up with sports news. I hate to say it, but my opinion on sports changed after I did this challenge. So upon doing this self-development journey over the past few years, I think I've learned a lot about myself, and I'm pretty much happy with what I've learned, right? At least for the most part. And I am surprised to say, though, that one of my lifelong passions of knowing too much about the day-to-day in sports is, especially after this challenge, I realized that I just don't have that care anymore. I've outgrown caring about sports in their entirety. I'm still a big fan of the teams I am, and when the football comes on, I'm going to watch every Chiefs game. But I realized when it comes to just keeping up with day-to-day sports, I used to listen to ESPN, First Take, have SportsCenter on, like all that kind of stuff. I just don't care anymore. Or not don't care, maybe care is the wrong word, but I don't feel the need to stay so focused about it anymore. I still am going to watch my Chiefs when the season comes on, and I'll watch the odd Cubs game or an NBA playoff game, but the days of me keeping up with the stats and events outside of those big parts of the season, I think those are over. If anything, this challenge has showed me that I didn't need those hours a week spent on paying attention to sports that were on different social media apps, and that extra part of my life, that extra time I was putting towards something, it didn't make me any happier. If anything, I think it's probably more fun to still have those random back and forths about sporting events with friends, or it gives you something to talk about outside of being an insufferable sports know-it-all. So some negatives about this challenge were that, I gotta admit about the problem I have with the YouTube background listening. I think it's something that's been on my mind for a while. I talk about it with Chance all the time, and other people I've mentioned too. I just, my passive content consumption, I don't know what it is. I just need the noise. However, music doesn't, I don't know what it is. I don't really have as much of an easy ask for myself to be able to like, okay, I'm going to listen to music or I'm going to listen to a podcast. For some reason, it just like YouTube calls me to do it. And I need to come clean and say that for the first time in one of these 30-day challenges, I failed. I failed to not do this because within the first week or two, I ended up having YouTube on in the background on my computer, and that's kind of cheating. So, yeah. I have a background YouTube video listening problem. I could almost go as far as to say addiction. I don't want to say it, but yeah, getting rid of my usual YouTube listening in the background, it was really hard. Another negative was that I wrote this weird line when I did this challenge, and it was, if a friend wanted to show me like a quick TikTok or something in person, like he'd just pull it up on his phone or her phone, I'd kind of get a little weird about it. And I don't think that was good. That wasn't technically against the rules of the challenge for me to like see something if someone were to show it to me. In fact, I feel like that'd be a good thing to do. I kind of made it weird sometimes, which the negative is just on me on that one. I don't really know why. I was like, I don't know, I'm doing this challenge. Like, you don't need a virtue signal the whole challenge thing, Dimitri. So I definitely think that was an interesting negative that I found myself doing. An interesting Dimitriism. The verdict on this challenge is obviously it was good for me. I think I found some extra time now. I am a little bit more laser focused maybe than I was before. I'm not saying I wasn't laser focused before at all. I'm just, building on things, right? And I'm happy with the fact that I've come to terms with the whole like background YouTube listening issue. I'm working on it. I know that my Instagram scrolling is much better than it was a few years ago. I think that was one of the main problems I had outside of the YouTube thing, because the YouTube thing is still more passive, right? I'm still able to work on things, but if you have Instagram on and you're looking at it, nothing's happening. So I'm glad that I improved in that regard. I think as I keep doing these challenges, I learn more and more about myself, and that's been really great. I think it's really beneficial for anyone to try this out. It's like one of those things where I know people are fans of the most random things that they like to go and look at on Instagram. And then if you remove yourself from that, like I did with the sports, after being a extremely large sports know-it-all for all those years, I found out that I didn't really get any value from it. Like, I think you guys can do the same. If there's some content that you consume on Instagram consistently, I bet you it's not really worth it. And you're probably, like, not all of it, obviously. I think some stuff's good. I think people like things, don't get me wrong, but you might grow out of something and you don't know it. So I really think that a big verdict of this challenge was take the time to see whether you like everything you consume. And, it's that whole minimalism shtick of, find intentionality anywhere you can and declutter your life, and that can be virtually or physically. And definitely I'm decluttering my need or former need to consume excessive amounts of sports content. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.